God didn't want me to be a drag queen. Why did he give me this stuff? My name is Neurotika Killz, and
oh, we're right next to a fire.
my drag name is Neurotika Killz, and I just had a Pinterest board 5 years ago that was like, I came up with this idea for a word. I was like, oh, like I love things that are neurotic and erotic, so it's like Neurotika. And so I had all these pictures of demon babies, Teletubbies, and just like weird shit that just gives you this weird brain feeling. I kind of want to take on that like mental illness sort of standpoint for my drag and make my drag about mental illness a little bit. Because I do think that in a way, my drag for me has been a form of art therapy for myself. And I want to like, when I'm doing my favorite drag, I'm like emoting these emotions, like kind of like inducing a mental breakdown on stage. So I like lose all the energy and don't have to have a real mental breakdown later. Killz is my last name because my drag daughter's name is Heroin Killz, and my name is Neurotika Killz, so the House of Suicidal Thoughts, T-H-O-T-S.
We have a one beautiful glamorous tear, just like.
Wearing 2 pairs of contacts.
Ow.
And one of my contacts last night got soaked with fake blood, so it's like permanently red. When I moved back here from Phoenix, where I went to college, and I just was kind of like lost, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I felt really like artistically dead. I'd been so depressed for so long, I like couldn't even write. I just started going up to the club, and my best friend Yvie Oddly was doing drag. I was like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? Like, what is this whole life you've created without me? And I was like, I need to be a part of it somehow. So I started doing tarot readings at tracks, and I'd get to hang out in the backstage with all the queens and then go out and do readings all night, make money. And I started wearing wigs for that and like dressing up for that a little bit because you had to be on theme with the club. In the process of that, I became so in love with wigs because you can just change your hair whenever you want, and I could just stop dyeing and bleaching my hair all the time. So one day I was just out in a wig, and I would always just get trashed and do like hundreds of readings and make money and probably spend it all on like booze and wigs, and then, you know, start the process all over again. And one drag queen just came up to me and they were like, the day you start drag, I'll put you in my show. I started performing, and it was terrifying, and the drinking actually didn't make it any less terrifying at all. I remember the very first time I performed, I drank an entire bottle of tequila before I went on stage, and I was still so scared. I was like trying to shoot from an empty bottle. I was like, there's gotta be more tequila in here somehow. And though I was really scared, I really loved it. I had a really, really good time. Started a little bit as like a terrorist though. Like, I mean, there's a lot of different perspectives on drag. There's still a lot of very traditional drag queens in the world that are like, drag, to be a drag queen, you have to be born a man with a penis, and you have to like be tucking your penis, and you have to like be serving this feminine illusion. And you know, the more manly you look out of drag and the more womanly you look in drag, like, it's so crazy. It's such a, you know, transformation. I have a drag sister, her name is Her, and she kind of started doing like hyper queen drag, which is like when you're like you're born a female and then you transform into another female. And I just like, I didn't want to like play by anyone's rules. Like, I was like, you know what, I don't care if I'm good at drag, or I don't care if I'm not standing up for any gender thing. Like, I just want to do my own drag, and I want it to be mine, and I want it to be my fantasy that I'm living, whatever that is. I didn't want to have to like show Denver that I could do super good makeup or perform really well and then have them all applaud me and be like, look at this really awesome hyper queen, or look at this really awesome like woman, or, you know, I didn't want them to like gender me and put me in a box. So I just would like network myself into things that maybe I had no business doing, and then I turn out some comedy so people would like be like, oh yeah, maybe we should put her on our show. And then my favorite thing to do is just show up to a show and just do probably just like the worst drag people saw all night. Like, too drunk, super nervous, bad, just everything bad. Nipples coming out, bars thinking about their liquor license, you know, getting worried. But I didn't care because I was still there. I was still, no one had to know if I was getting paid or not. And everyone was forced to watch me for 3 minutes, so I had to rebel a little bit at first. Since then, it's become a lot more to me about like the artistry and like doing the makeup and like finding like a character and finding a confidence in all of the aspects. I don't have to like rebel as much anymore because I finally made my point of being like, I'm not going to do art for you and I'm not going to do art that's consistent. I'm just going to do art. The wider audience still has no idea what to think about a female or a gender non-conforming person doing drag because they still are very married to that concept of basic gender concepts. You start out being maybe people can be transgender, and then from there you go on to like, well, maybe there can be no gender, but it takes people some time to get there. And I think right now people are still just like, wow, a man that turns into a woman? Wow, I don't see a dick at all. In the past, there's always been like two genders, and you know, there's always been intersex people who like are in between or maybe like born like half woman, half man biologically. Gender non-conforming or like being non-binary means that you don't subscribe to either gender, you don't believe that you have to be, you know, you have to do certain like things to be a man or certain things to be a woman. You can just be literally like your whole self. You think they're both manly or womanly, or just kind of like let go of those ideas that any behavior is tied to a certain gender and just, you know, live your life. You know, sometimes like I pee in the urinal and does it get all over me? Yeah. I just like don't think that people should be defined by their genitals. And I think that like a really non-binary is like just walking that line in the middle and just not caring either way. Like your gender is just gray. Like it's not black and white. It's like everything in between and everything. It tracks. You would never see a show full of like non-binary people doing what they think drag is or what they express it as, because that's just not what's the most digestible right now. But there's a lot of smaller venues and people I think receive it just as equally well as any other drag because the transformation's still there. Everyone looks super different. We do a show called Coven once a month at Gladys. That's a witch-themed show. And it's much more about like the gothic performances. It's queer. It's like, I mean, you know, people are in drag, people are non-conforming, people are trans, they're all doing their own thing. The joke of our drag isn't that we're like taking our penises off or whatever. I feel like there's like a lot more, there's so much more to drag than just what you like see on TV. Yvie says there was like a lot of bodysuit queens when she came on the scene, and there definitely was this idea of like drag is just like you have a nice new wig, like not like this wig is dreading itself up. A lot of conformity in the drag scene. Like everyone was like, this is what, if you're an artist and your art is so successful that creates a lot of jobs for other artists, like all of a sudden it's like you're defining the rules. So, you know, if you have an art gallery and you're like, I only want oil paintings, only oil paintings are beautiful, only this specific type of oil painting. And then everyone follows that because they want to have good art, they want to be in your gallery, you know, whatever. It's kind of like that with drag. I feel like everyone looked at what the most successful queens in the city were doing and what like the most successful queens in like the world were doing. And that was a lot of like bodysuit, hair flipping, twirling, death drops, splits, you know, just like twerking on the ground, like, and that is part of drag. Like why was that the only like most accepted way to do drag? It doesn't make sense because art can be anything. So I do think like the city's seen like a huge shift. I think there's a lot of different queens that like just like stuck with their different shtick and they adapted to the clubs, but they didn't play by all the rules. Drag's got a lot more queer, less binary, and a lot more expressive. People can just do it as expression. I would say like Drag Nation, every last Friday of the month is really good. I would say Hamburger Mary's, like that's where you can really see some engaging shows. Gladys has the most alternative shows, and I would go to God Save the Queens at High Dive. It's like every last Monday. So my look today is I just decided how I want to do my drag eyes. I think I should always have like a contact in, and these are some crusty lashes that I found. They're like very crusted with glue. I really just was like, I think I've kind of found my eye shape, so I'm gonna do that. This is some drag I bought for my birthday, and some earrings my girlfriend brought back from Chicago for me, so I feel fancy. But this wig is important to me because I think this is how my hair would look if I had long hair. My hair would be dreading up on its own, and it would be like spooky over here, like weird choppy bangs that I probably did myself. And also I'm living my rich people fantasy. having a dog on Prozac. Yeah, I'm like so rich and I have this Prozac dog. And I'm just like, you know, gossip girl.
Yeah.
But I can't brush my hair still because I'm the mentally ill gossip girl one. And they're all just like, poor Neurotika, she's so crazy, but she's so rich, it doesn't matter. It's really like my main fantasy. Rich and like mentally ill. You just throw away all the dishes one day and they're like from like some fancy plate store. Like, you know, you just go shopping Crate and Barrel and you just only buy fake bananas. And everyone's like, why did you do that? Any young person who does drag, I would say, you know, when you were like a slightly younger child, did you play dress up? I would say drag queens are stealing your culture. They're stealing children's culture. People like to act like drag is just for adults, and it's really not. Drag is for anyone who wants to express anything. Honestly, drag is just transforming yourself. So you can transform yourself into a unicorn. You could be a space being. You could be genderless. You could be whatever you want. It's all about your fantasy and really like bringing that to life. Don't let anyone tell you how to do it. I mean, you know, you can take tips from people on how to do makeup or watch YouTube tutorials, but don't let anyone tell you how to do your drag. The one thing that like I kind of regret is that when I first got into drag, I was like so just like blinded by my idea of what I thought drag was, that I wasn't really doing my own drag. I was trying to be like the bodysuit queens, even though I was rebelling against them. I was like, well, it's not drag if I'm not wearing a heel, or it's not drag if I'm not lip syncing this, you know, Katy Perry song. And I really missed out on a lot of opportunities to show myself, but that's okay because I'm doing that now. I really didn't think of it as a chance to show off my fantasies. I thought of it more like conform, conform, conform. They're scary, like literal ladders. I don't like getting on them because they could be broken. And I always would avoid using the one at work because it just was like scary. No, but like ladders as far as like metaphorical sense, I feel like that's something I always want to climb. Like I always want to like whenever I work a job, I feel like I have to be climbing, like and getting better and better and better, or like getting new positions and like climbing the social ladder a little bit. I would usually like stop at some point because they realize I'm never going to show up on time, but...
How do you feel about rainbows?
I love rainbows. I almost wore this headpiece today that's a rainbow light, but then I thought it might be too extra for the daytime.
So do you know anything about the retrograde we're going through?
Well, so it's definitely making communication terrible for everyone.
So this interview is going to be really bad?
Oh well. Generally, I run a show every third Friday at Blush and Blue. It's a Zodiac themed show called Dark Side Zodiac with Neurotika Killz. Also, every last Monday and every first Monday, there's like 2 very cool punk shows. One happens at Gladys, and that's Coven. And that's the first Monday of every month. And the last Monday of every month at High Dive, there's a show called God Save the Queens, where we just do like fuck you, like punk drag, like putting cigarettes out on ourselves and stuff. If anyone's interested in the mental health aspect of my drag, I run a support group on Facebook called the Support Group of Suicidal Thoughts. And it's a very like PC, like, you know, if anyone says anything wrong, they get cut immediately, obviously, because we don't want people to like actually harm themselves or anything. It's a place where people can make a safe space to make jokes about being suicidal, to talk about it openly. It's a lot of queer people in the queer community and in alternative spaces who get together and just kind of like, you know, we all support each other from afar. My mental health stuff has been so big. Sometimes it feels like a problem, like, you know, they say like it takes a village to raise a child or whatever. Well, like, I'm like a perpetual child and I need more help than just like one therapist or like one diary or like one coping mechanism. Like, I'm a person who uses all of them all the time, constantly. And I started the group because I was just like, I think it's time to try to reach out for some help.
Fucking glamour. You look so good.
This is what the RuPaul girls do. They're like...
Thank you, Neurotika Killz. You are amazing.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is really fun to be able to talk about all of my opinions.